I'm Judson Powell, fastest 15 minutes in social media, fastest 15 minutes on the internet. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit all the buttons for me, please. I would appreciate it. Thank you. Anyway, I want to continue talking about Kemetic spirituality, and I'm not doing it, I don't want to be like spooky or hocus pocus about this stuff because it's really like as normal as anything can be. The first thing that I want to get across to you, it is not a religion. All right. It is not religion. All right. It is not religion. It's not religion. All right. You create your own religion. What do I always say? If there are 100 people in a room, there are 100 religions in a room. And the reason why I always say that is because spirituality is very much individualized, and religion is very much individualized, because even when people are in a religion, everybody does not practice that religion the same exact way. Or there are certain things that you may not feel, you believe in, or there's certain things that you may not agree with, or certain things that you agree with wholeheartedly that other people don't agree with you about, right? That's why we have how many is it? We have 4,200, like, I think they said it's like 4,200 denominations or whatever. So that goes to show you that people don't believe. So, and then, then the next thing is everybody starts pointing the finger. Well, you're going to go to hell, and you're going to go to hell because you do not believe the same way that I believe. Not true. So these are the things. That's why we keep telling y'all about Kemetic spirituality, is because it's individualized. Know thyself. Know yourself. Know thyself. And to who? To thine own self be true. All right. The reason why we have so many problems, so much mental illness, so much, all this other junk is because of, a lot of it is because of religion, because people are trying to live up to something that they were not created to be. They're trying to live up to a image or a something that they were not invented, or they were not created to be. And they think, well, if I don't do this exactly the way that everybody else does it, or if somehow I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do in my religion, then somehow I'm a bad person, which is what religion teaches you. Religion teaches you, and it teaches you about your lower nature. It teaches you about your lower self. It teaches you about sin and evil and all this kind of stuff. But it's not talking to you about your higher self, or how to reach your higher self. To thine own self be true. Because look, I remember, and I'm going to go back to, I took parenting classes. And when I took the parenting classes, one of the main themes of the parenting class was what? Make yourself the best self that you can be, and then you can be better for your children. And well, it's the same thing. Make yourself the best self that you can be, and then you can do better for everybody else if you really want to go out and help people. Right? You can't help nobody if you're depressed and in fear and all these other things that they try to instill in you. Just like what religion? Okay, you got a religion. The person that made you is going to also be the person that destroyed you. Why? So people are always, there's hellfire and brimstone, and you're going to go to hell, and this, that, and the other thing. That could be further from the truth, because all of those concepts, first of all, they're man-made, created concepts. There is nothing in Kemetic spirituality talking about hell, talking about a devil, talking about Satan, Lucifer, none of that. All of that stuff comes after Constantine and all of those boys get a hold of the scriptures, and they start changing it around. Why? So that they can control you and make you afraid. That's why. They make you afraid. Then constantly they say, fear not. Oh, there'll be gashing of teeth and all this stuff. You know what the Bible says. Y'all, some of y'all have read it. But just understand that all of that stuff was man-made. It was put in there to make you fearful, so that you would do what they told you to do. And then the next thing, and then if you still didn't do it, you got to realize, like, in the medieval times, they were killing people. If you didn't believe in Christianity, whether you were black, white, green, yellow, red, they would kill you. All right. So that's how. And then during slavery, they took the ancient Kemetic and Kushite and Ethiopian religions and they eradicated them. They told you, you got to be a Christian. All right. And so then for 200, for almost 300 years, everybody had to be a Christian. So that's why y'all indoctrinated. I'm not mad at nobody. Everybody thinks that I'm mad at Christian, but after a while, you got to either wake up or you're just going to be enslaved and impoverished for the rest of your life, because you're not really living yourself. You're living what somebody else created for you, which you can't do. You can't be something, that's what people always try to do. Even in relationships, what do people try to do? Oh, well, she's cool, but but you got some things that you want to change about them or change about them. Women are always trying to change men. They're not going to change unless they want to, unless it's of their own volition. And so that's why we say, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. So if you're not being true to yourself and you're just doing something to fit in, you're never going to be successful at it, or you might be successful at it, but you'll just be miserable. You'll live an entire life in misery, and you'll never learn the lessons of your higher self. You'll never learn the lessons of your higher self. You won't. I'm sorry. It just ain't going to happen. All right. So now like a lot of people, they inbox me and stuff. They're like, well, how do I get into spirituality and this, that, and that? I'm writing a book. Okay. I'm writing a book, but the book, I'm like this. I write all kinds of stuff down, and then, but I'm like the type that I don't really want to publish it because I don't want to give it to y'all. It's nothing personal, but I got tons of books that I've written, and they just like in my computer, just sitting there, and because they probably send the government after me anyway. But here, so the first thing is that you have to realize what societal things are trying to do in order to keep you away from your spirituality. All right. So we all know the first thing is that society does not want you to open up your third eye or your pineal gland. All right. They do not want you to open that up. And it's proven. And that's why, listen, y'all, anytime you have world governments, right, trying to prevent you, and we're talking about governments like the United States, Germany, France, England, all of these superpowers in the world that have done studies, like even during the Holocaust. During the Holocaust, one of the major studies that they did during the Holocaust on those poor people was that they tried to experiment. They were doing lobotomies. They were cutting off their heads, cutting off the top of their head and going in there and messing with their pineal gland, trying to figure out how it works. And then they figured out the stuff and like I said, they've been putting fluoride in toothpaste and in water and in everything else. That is a government conspiracy. There's no reason. There's no medicinal purpose. Fluoride has no medicinal purpose to you at all, except to close your pineal gland and keep you from being able to communicate spiritually. That's what it's about. So they don't want 1 million people walking around able to communicate directly with the Most High. They don't want that. They don't want you to be able to communicate directly with the Most High. So that's one of the first things. So realize what society is really trying to do, and what the quote unquote new world order and the Illuminati and all this stuff that y'all scared of. They more scared of you than you are of them. Trust and believe it. The next thing is we now have, and you could tell by all of the propaganda and everything, what are we doing? Slowly but surely, every generation moves further away from what? The ancestors and the elders, right? The kids don't listen to their elders. They don't even respect their elders. Even the laws are changed. You can't spank a kid. You can't beat a kid. You can't even really discipline your kids without going to jail or somebody else complaining about it or telling you you're abusing your child or whatever. But they're going to abuse them. Okay, so I don't spank my kid, and then what you going to do? You're going to lock my kid up. So what's worse? My kid being locked up or me giving my kid a spanking. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about, I just walk in, I had a bad day, so I kicked the dog and beat all the children. That's not That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about correction. Like when your kid does something wrong, that you correct them. That's proper. That's spiritual. Because what? Because the law of what? Natural selection. If I don't teach them certain things, natural selection will kill my kid. Natural selection will kill me if I don't pay attention. I can't walk out in front of a bus. The way the scripture says it, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So if I'm constantly doing stuff that's going to tempt me into death, it's just like the crocodile hunter, he's down there kissing barracudas or whatever, he was stingrays or whatever, and the thing killed him. That's natural selection, y'all. Certain things will kill you. And if you don't have the knowledge, if somebody doesn't impart that knowledge and that wisdom into you, guess what? You're dead. All right. Here we go. Okay. So I got a list here. I'm kind of going down the list. All right. So now, and then the whole thing, and then nobody ever tells you, you are, first and foremost, you're a manifester. Your job is to manifest. So as being a manifester, your job being a manifester is to manifest things. All right. But if they tell you that, no, you can't, the society tells you, oh, well, only certain people can manifest, or this, that, and the other thing. That's not true. And your pastor is going in there telling you the only way to manifest is if you give a big tithe and a big offering. Not true. All of these things are lies so that they, number one, they can get rich. Number two, that, look at all the mega churches. Okay, you got the pastor and you got a certain amount of, maybe the people around, the deacon boards or who sit on the board of directors and stuff like that. They're all rich. The rest of y'all, guess what? Y'all making them rich. And they not telling you how to manifest nothing. They sitting there telling y'all some old mumbo jumbo that don't even make sense. That ain't even true from a plagiarized, reversed Bible. Okay, just letting you know. All right, and then they tell you that everything that the Most High created, they tell you that is evil or is sinful. And that's the other thing, that whole thing about your sinful nature. You do not have a sinful nature. Listen to that again. You do not have a sinful nature. If you were made in the image and the likeness of the Most High, all right, and the scriptures even say, is it not written that ye are gods and that ye are what? The children of the Most High. So if you're the Most High's child and you're made in the Most High's image and likeness, how in the world are you born a sinner, or how in the world are you evil? And then it talks about, all the creation of evil and all of this, and the devil and Lucifer and, fallen angels and all of this crap. That's crap. You are what? Yourself. To thine own self be true. Unless you grow up and say, oh, I want to be, and then I want to be a sinner and I want to be evil. That's your own what? That's the universal law of what? Free will. All of these things fall within universal law. They're just laws that occur naturally in nature. They don't have anything to do with your color. They don't have anything to do with your sexual orientation. They don't have anything to do with race, creed, color, anything. Your job, whatever you have, everybody is affected by universal law, and it's immutable. It means it's not going to change for you. It doesn't change for anybody else. There is no, all of this kind of stuff. It just is what it is. So stop. Stop with all this, and like I said, that's what creates the whole sin nature, the evil thing. That's what creates the inferiority complex, to make you think that you need something outside of yourself, which you don't. Everything that you need is already in you. If this is the temple, of the Spirit of the Most High, if this is the Spirit, guess what? I already got the Most High. The Most High is in here. All right? The Most High is already in here. All right? I don't need anything outside of me. All I need, and then, so that's my next point, right wisdom and right knowledge eliminates the need for faith. If you know something, that's why they try to dumb you down. Let's go back to the societal influences. The reason they try to dumb you down is because they understand that wisdom and knowledge is the cradle of the Most High. The Most High is going to give you everything that you need if you only what? If you only believe that it will manifest. So we got speaking it into existence, writing it into existence, thinking it into existence, whatever. Your manifestation ability, you are a manifester. You have the ability to manifest what you want without question. So that's why they can put stuff like, all things are possible to him who believe. It's true. That's a true scripture. Now, all of them are true, but that one is. Come on, y'all. Think about it. Stop, and what they want to try to do is they want to try to dumb you down, because if you have right wisdom and right knowledge, you don't need the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You don't need that. What do you need it for? That's how come throughout history, we see so many inventors who were melanated. The reason why they were melanated, because they are the sons and the daughters of who? The Most High. Why do you think all of these? Why do you go get the list? Go online and pull up a list of black inventors and black inventions and all of that kind of stuff. Look, all I'm trying to do is make you see, okay, that all of this stuff that's been told to you for the last 200 to 400 years is a crock of BS. You are a manifester. And then, where I've been talking about the Codex and Scriptus. The Codex and Scriptures is God. Says, isn't it told you that ye are gods? What? Operator, generator, operator, destroyer. That's what you are. You have all of the abilities of the Most High, because you're the child of the Most High. You got all those abilities. You can do whatever you want. That's true. You got all of those abilities. That is what they don't want you to know. See, if I go out here and I tell you too much, that's why they had the overseer. That's why they had the overseer in the slave church. Oh, don't tell them they can be free. Don't tell them that they can, that they can manifest stuff, and that, that this generator, operator, destroyer thing, that they can do that. The only thing that you can't do is actually create your own physical, tangible world. You can't create your own earth, and maybe you can do that. I don't even know. Maybe when you get into after you transcend your body spiritually, you might be able to do that. I don't know. But right now I know that in the physical manifestation that I am now, that I don't have the ability, or neither do you. We don't have the ability to make a planet. But everything on the planet we can use for our benefit, right? Everything. We already got everything that we need. We don't need, the Most High didn't put us here and not equip us. We're equipped. We got everything we need. We don't need all that. And so people, so now good and evil is just the law. Good and evil is just the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. Everything. Every single thing has an opposite. What the ancestors taught was mayat, justice, being just, being balanced, equality, all of those things which the world has none of, which the New World Order has completely destroyed. So even the woman holding the scales, right? I said this the other day, Mayat is about, and Tahuti is about what? It's about, you're not being judged constantly. Judgment, that's not a thing, because you're not being judged constantly. Why? Because the law of grace, the universal law of grace, that's how come they can talk about grace. The universal law of grace, you're not always being judged. And you're not always, people do things and get away with it for years, because there's a universal law of grace. And then there's also a universal law of what? Karma. Eventually stuff comes around full circle. Nah. All of this stuff is, and it's universal law. It has nothing to do with what they wrote, the word of God and all that kind of stuff. All of this stuff is, the Holy Bible, all of that kind of crap. That's crap. Believe it. It's crap. It has nothing to do with you. All right. And everybody has, and then there's a universal law of purpose. That's why you have to know yourself. And the Moors said, know yourself, and then get to know yourself, and then get to know yourself again. Keep on rediscovering yourself. That's how you become successful. You don't become successful, by sitting there going, oh, well, I wish Jesus would come back and save me. One of these days, it won't be long. Jesus gonna come back and you better get your butt up off the universal law of action or work, right? Action. When you take action, for every action, there's physics, for science, for every comedic science, for every action. And then they give credit to the white boy for discovering this. No, our ancestors discovered these universal laws. The same thing with stuff like yoga. They tell you yoga is evil. There are people that do yoga that are hundreds of years old. The Orientals and the Indians and all of that, they took this knowledge, and they use it. And, and even, I'm going to tell y'all something else too, y'all. The rich white ladies, they do a lot of yoga. I'm just telling you. And they stay, and that's how I bet you Queen Elizabeth over there doing yoga right now. I'm just telling you, do yoga, do stuff, and eat properly, eat the right stuff. Don't, and I used to weigh 433 pounds. I'm telling you right now, all of these things, if you don't realize that these things were put here by the Most High in order to help you, not in order to hurt you. All right. And the chakra energy, knowing about your chakras are Christ. And I be trying to tell, I preach this, incessantly. It's like, look, y'all, the crown chakra, that's your Christ. That's why it says in the Bible, you shall receive a crown of glory. They stole that from your ancestors, from the Kemetic priests. The Kemetic priests, they figured out, look, and all of these seven candlesticks, seven stars, 7 seals, 7 this, that, the other thing. All of those things are referring to your chakras. They're referring to your energy. Look, let me explain something to you. Everything is related to those chakras. You want to know why? I can tell you that. Music. How many notes are in a musical scale? 7. All right. How many colors are on the spectrum, are on the visual spectrum of color? There are 7. All of these different things. How many chakras? What are your main chakras? You have 7. All right. Listen to me, y'all. You are made up of this energy. You are energy. You are vibration. Universal law of vibration. You are rhythm. Universal law of rhythm. You are all meshed in the law of universal oneness. You are one with the universe. You are part of the universe. Your body is made up of what? Of the universe. Everything in your body is made up of the universe. Come on, y'all. And then they try to tell you, no, that's evil. How is it evil? And now I got, we got all these people running around talking about that Freemasonry is evil. But if you study Kemetic Freemasonry and you know what's going on, guess what? That's the story of the master builder. That's the story of the widow and son, the mother and son that was able to create out of nothing. I mean, come on. Heru on the horizon, which is what they called, which is the English version of the Sphinx, right? 50,000 years old. Been sitting there for 50,000 years. They done blown the nose off it. They couldn't even blow. Look, they shot it with cannons and everything else. Couldn't even blow it up. Come on, y'all, be for real. But yet and still, that's evil, and that's what. No, because that's where they took everything. That's where they took civilization. Forks, knives, spoons, bowls, basins to wash with, all that kind of stuff. I mean, and then you come down to modern day inventions, just stuff like lotions and potions and oil. And then they call it witchcraft or whatever. Alchemy is nothing more than pharmacy. It's the same thing. Alchemy, pharmacy, blah, 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 is mixing the things in the earth in order to what? Heal, or in order to aid you, to help you. Why? Because the Most High put it here for you, or they put, they make all of these things, and they try to say, oh, well, this is evil, or this is, or they make it illegal so they can lock you up and put you in jail for it, or whatever. Because instead of using it in a spiritual way, they're teaching you how to use it in a way that affects your lower nature, in a way that affects your lower self, not your higher self. Know thyself. Just like if you know what alcohol does to you, but you allow it to affect your lower self, and you know yourself, you know what your limitations are. Once again, know thyself. And then astrology and mathematics and numerology and all of these things, that they tell you, or being able to communicate with your ancestors, or being able to communicate with the elders and all those kind of things. Those are the kind of things that's wisdom. That's where you get knowledge and wisdom. But if you ignore all that stuff, you don't have knowledge and wisdom. You don't get wise, And even your biblical scriptures and your Quranic scriptures, what do they say? They talk about what? They talk about wisdom. And then all you get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. Knowledge is the principal thing. Wisdom and knowledge is power, right? All of these things. You know why knowledge is power? You can say those things and be accurate when you state them. It's because it's true. It's true. And so they try to dumb you down through through music, and through all these other different things. And they put simple stuff in front of you to make you gather into simple stuff that's not complex, and it does not make thought. It does not create thought, or does not, because thought creates wisdom. When you get knowledge, because knowledge without, okay, so I know something, but just to know something is nothing. But to know how to use what I know is a tool of manifestation. Learning how to use what I know is a tool of manifestation. Let me say it one more time. Learning to use what I know is a tool of manifestation. That's where you get wisdom. And so that's where people have got over on us as a race, because they took our knowledge and they used it as a tool of manifestation. They manifested the entire United States of America. Like I said, look at George Washington with his left foot forward. That famous picture. It's on the internet. Go pull some pictures. Go pull up a picture that says George Washington Freemason, right, in his Freemason regalia, and look at what he's doing. He's doing the exact same thing that our ancestor, the Grand Master Mason in Imhotep, where you get all the 40s in the. Now, I ain't talking about 40 ounces. I'm talking about, I ain't talking about beer or malt liquor. I'm talking about the 40 years that he studied so that they would have the wisdom and the knowledge in order to build the pyramids and all of those grand temples and all of the things that they built. They built probably the greatest civilization in the history of the world, because everybody wanted to copy it, and they still copying it to this day. So don't sleep on this stuff. It's highly important, and without knowing it and not understanding it, and like I said, astrology, knowing the relationships, like people don't realize those stars. So you think that the stars and the moon, and if you're part of the universe and stuff that's happening and stuff is working in the universe, but you don't know what's working. And I tell women all the time, even your menstrual cycle is regulated by what? The moon and the stars and the sun. But you go to a doctor. See, the ancestors didn't have no doctors. They had to figure it out. So they figured stuff out. They had knowledge. And once they got knowledge, they say, well, how does this work? How does this work for us? And that's how they came up with stuff. Intelligence. It ain't got nothing to do, but all of this stuff is intelligence. And knowing what your nature is, knowing what your human nature is, and how it relates to the universe. That's what spirituality is about. It ain't got nothing to do with you following somebody or doing certain stuff. It's what works for you. what works for you. Now the big thing in the church is, you got to have a personal relationship with God. No, if your personal relationship with God is personal relationship with yourself, because you are God. I done mess with y'all now. Anyway, like button, subscribe button, notification button, love button. Hit the love button.